Peace, this is Star with the Star Glooms. Y'all, um, proof is showing up for us in so many different rates. If we allow burping, confirmation, if we allow ourselves to sit within it, right? I had basically just got off the phone, um, and I was just sitting with spirit because I recognized the more I had no intentions of having this call today. And I recognize the more I don't plan for things, the more spirit surprises me. It's that, it's that infinite journey that you're taking with your higher self. It seems like the longer route because it's slower, but it becomes shorter just because you enjoy, oh God, you enjoy doing it, right? Even in the antics within spirit, it's a lot of times we get used to habitual patterns and how we showed up because Meemaw would catch the Holy Spirit in church. We would recognize that in order for us to be in permission of acknowledgement of spirit, you had to have certain behaviors, right? So this all applies when we'll get to it. This is Star with the Star Blooms. I say hi, because I want to make sure that I'm acknowledging myself and speaking, but I'm speaking for, some people. And that's what we have to recognize, y'all. We've been hired. You know what I mean? We've been hired by our people, right? And it depends on who your people is who you're working for, right? But I know myself to be true. And I'm not over here soothing anybody with shit that I'm saying. A lot of the times I say stuff that gets under y'all skin, pisses y'all off, and puts me at a rate to where I'm constantly having to deal with people in their neck swivel and constantly having to engage with people and their insecurities and their agitations because it's like, who do you think you are? What gives you the authority type of shit, right? So what I was hearing when I got off the line just now, and I was just sitting because I've been sitting because it's like it's you petition by your position. So you don't understand a lot of the times, even if you're not in what you call motion on your mission, you are in action by what you are doing and how you are showing up and how you are being. And you petition based off of your posture and your position. And I heard my ancestors say to me, there is no exemption in spirit. And I'm like, exemption in spirit mean tax exemption. I started talking, reclaiming my time, intrusive thoughts, okay? Being funny, okay? So I'm, over here having a moment and I'm like, exemption in spirit, tax exemption, I'm being funny, facetious. And I wasn't really thinking anything about it. And I said, exemption in spirit. And I said, oh, exemption in spirit. And I basically see this live that is occurring with this gentleman. He's speaking to the realization of how backwards the church has gone and how so many people are showing up in the iniquity and in the lower, you know, rate based off of what he said was like cultural connections that we've made to patterns, habits, um, showing up in, you know, spiritual antics, so-called catching the spirit type things like that. And something out of me said, well, how do we tell the truth, spirit? Like, how is it that people could perceive me to really, really be connected with you if there's so much that could live and is amplified on a large scale, um, supposedly reputable? And then I heard the man say, you'll walk into spaces with people who have so-called degrees and you won't have any degrees, but they'll have to listen to you. And I heard them say again, there's no exemption in spirit. And I said, it's a cost. And at what cost? I've been making everybody aware as best as I could. Y'all don't understand. We in this situation on a holistic rate where we've allowed, you know, entities to proclaim over us, dictate for us, interfere with us, on us, and we've given them permission to do so. We allowed them to live in our brains, in our wombs, in our guts. We engage with them in food. We take it through media. We allow ourselves to be an emote of these entities, and we are constantly in this debate where we are being moved, guided, um, usurped, um, being ran by the instability of, the unawareness of constant debate and conflict within ourselves internally, just because we show up ignorant based off of a desire to not have to be accountable, always wanting to go so far in the past to place blame for something that we are presently contributing to in our so-called lack of awareness. See, there's just been this big dump of information over the last 10 years, longer than that. However, over the last decade, there's been access and privilege to certain rates that we get to perceive differently within ourselves. And a lot of the times, we choose to turn off the things that are coming online for us to be able to be in awareness of self, to be in receipt of what isn't an antic, but is something that has been resoluted. It's like it's a resolved matter. Like there's been some answers provided to us, and it's like spirit has been very, very clear that there is no exemption in spirit. So there's a lot of things that people will say that will cause you to not want to be that new thing. And it's not even a new thing, it's the remembered state and stance, right? See, it's being able to go into the places and to correct, some structures, because yeah, this may have always been meant to be that way, but it's actually supposed to be turned to the left. There's a right position that we're supposed to be in, and we in the recognition at this point, because there's certain energies that have come to the stage. And when you recognize, and this is what I was talking about the other day, in certain company, you keep certain. It's like I'm not gonna sit in front of my grandma and I'm not gonna watch. I gotta be careful how I speak. I gotta be careful. It's like when you was a kid, the teacher, shh, right? You gotta be mindful in how you doing things, and it's like the stage has already been set. But we be so busy, y'all, showing up and allowing ourselves to be moved, used by all the wrong things, engaging with, consenting with, and for all of the things that we don't necessarily desire to be, okay, in partnership with. Yet we consent, we go into covenant with these things, and then we don't revoke, you know cancel contracts because we be wanting to keep it real, and it goes wrong. Spirit is saying very loudly right now, you will not be forfeited at the rate that you think that you were ignorant upon your choice and choosing to constantly decide to not have a layer of frequency of oneself. Like at this point, the least that you should be able to do is be in a space and be accountable for you. At this point, the least that you should be able to do is be at a rate and be willing to discern for your highest good, and not willing at a rate closing down, shutting down circumstance because you believe what things should be. At this point, we're going to be walking into a lot of spaces where a lot of people may not know exactly why they know what they know. You should be wise to listen.